Hi again. My name is Rebel and I'm the Rebel Reseller. And I think we're getting caught up on our what sold videos. This one is going to be for last weekend, December 5th through the 7th. My sales were still chugging along. I've forgotten about Robert's Mercari and Poshmarks. I've got a couple of things to sell on to share with you guys from sales on that. We have not hardly done it. Next year we're going to focus on his Poshmark and Mercari. We're just trying to get through the fourth quarter and go to St. Louis and visit family and do some shopping. So it is what it is. Finally, yesterday, which was the 16th, my sales are now below normal. So I figure, I don't think it has anything to do with me turning off promoted listings. It's all about, most people realize they're probably not going to get they might, and they should, but they might not. So they may not get their packages by Christmas. So I think more and more people are stopping their online shopping at this point. I finally got my last two packages. When they said it would be delivered, the last day that they said it would be delivered, but it was Amazon Prime. I don't understand why they waited, 2 weeks? Over 2 weeks to ship this item. But finally got it yesterday. I've gotten two back-to-back, like yesterday and today, item not received cases on eBay. So let's talk about that in a few minutes after I show you some of the stuff that has been selling for me right now.
So you're going to tell them what to do, right?
I'm going to tell them what I do.
There you go. Before you start, I'd like to point out that what she does is not always the right thing to do.
I have to...
it's probably more right when talking about reselling. The rest of life, maybe not so much.
But remind me to talk about the fact that, again, I was a little too blunt in my response and you had to help me fix my response.
I said, calm down, Rebel.
No. All right, let's see. I've got 6 sales to share with you on Etsy and moving right along. I do think I finally had like one day that I didn't sell anything, and then I did have something to ship today. But the first thing that sold was this Russ Snuggle Bear from 1985. This is the 16-inch version. They do very well. I've sold a couple now, Snuggle Bears, this fourth quarter on Etsy. This one sold for $22.45. And then this Applause Bear, Yubby Bear, is like a workout bear from 1986, sold for $22.45. I don't think it was listed very long. And then a Disney White Snowman Tigger plush sold for $22.45. That was a very quick sell also on there. Henry and Mudge. I remember reading those books when I was in college, only because I hadn't really read a whole bunch of kids' books until my bachelor's degree is in elementary education, and then I went on to get certifications in special ed. But for my elementary ed, one of my reading classes, I bet you we had to read 100 kids books, and a lot of them had to be chapter books. And I remember reading Henry and Mudge. Just a fun memory for me. But that's when I just really learned to love reading kids books. But this dog plush sold for $53.95. This sold very quickly on there. Also, this was a Mattel Sweet Pea little Kittle doll picked up in the bins. These dolls are very unique looking. They've got these itty bitty bodies and these bigger heads. I pick up any that I find. But again, they're in the bottom of the bins. And this one sold for $17.95. Sometimes I do lots. This one was fine to list by itself. And then this Chosun tan reindeer plush with the red nose sold for $31.45. All right, and then on eBay, a lot of higher dollar plush. Oh no, I hope I didn't lose them. But I know this Russ Viola Purple Hippo sold for $50. It was supposed to have the little red writing. I hope I didn't lose them, but we'll see here in a second. Nope, right here, this one's fine. This was an international sale. Pretty sure it was Australia. I think this person had bought some stuff from me like a week or two ago and then came back and bought some more. These are Fisher-Price Dream Dollhouse items, and they sold for $21 total. Getting rid of some of the old stuff. This has probably been listed 4+ years. This is a Russ Troll Mrs. Claus plush and ornament. Funny thing is I had just found, I think it was the ornament, and changed the listing and ended up just taking an $8 offer to make it gone. Disney Winnie the Pooh Honey Christmas Sack stocking sold for $15. Coffee mugs. Trying to get rid of a bunch of the stuff that I've had listed for a while. This has been listed since 2024, so glad to see it gone. $8.96. The brand is Tag, and it was just a Rottweiler dog mug. Fisher-Price Little People Nativity Manger sold for $10. I've been getting a lot of my Little People stuff listed that I'm not going to be doing on Whatnot anymore. Disney Nuimo's Winnie the Pooh plush had some condition issues, so I just went ahead and accepted the first offer I got on it after I listed it. Sold for $10. Jellycat plush. This is Lawrence the Lion. Sold for $11. A lot of Jellycats are bread and butter, y'all. Of course, there are exceptions, but a lot of them are bread and butter. So, you know, when people are grabbing every Jellycat they find, you know, if you've got a higher price point for as far as things that you want to sell, you're going to have to definitely check the sold comps. African Game Trails by Theodore Roosevelt. This would have to be a Robert pickup, and it sold for $15. I don't really look at the books very much. This next year, though, I think we're going to focus a little more on books at estate sales and like vintage Christmassy holiday stuff.
Go check out at Got Junk in Our Trunk. She sells lots of books and does really well with them. She buys bulk sometimes, and she does a great job with them. Kids books, adult books. She sells lots of different things. I tend to focus at the estate sales. Every estate sale around here has Bibles, and they have James Patterson or one of the lady authors, or they have your typical things. Sometimes they have Louis L'Amour, but typically it's just the generic stuff. And then there's the Get Healthy books, and those never do well. So none of that stuff works for us. I'm sure there's ways to make some of that work. Go check with Rhonda.
Got Junk in Our Trunk.
But the things I focus on are the things that I don't see everywhere. Technical manuals, especially like machinist books, even old TV repair books we've sold before. But you got to check your comps. Check the comps on this stuff. Yeah, the bonsai books, check the comps on this stuff. That's what I always do, because some of that stuff is great. I mean, like $100 great, and some of it's $4.50 free ship. Yeah. So you just gotta look. And unfortunately, most of what we find around here is just not worth picking up for us.
Yep. American Eagle women's jeans, $13.51. I'm trying to get a lot of the older clothes. Instead of listing them in his store, I'm just trying to really get them moving. Bluebird Polly Pocket. This, I don't think this was from the stuff that I picked up at the Nashville reseller meetup when we went to the bins. But y'all, look how rough this is. It was rough, but people love Polly Pocket, especially the vintage little teeny tiny ones. Still sold for my full asking price of $9.95. Folk Manus Cute Tabby Cat Hand Puppet sold for $13.45. IKEA Siberian Tiger Plush. This is actually one of the items that I currently have an item not received case on. So let's talk about that. When you get these, I'm always, when I see the item not received case come over the line, my first thought always is, please be delivered, right? And so far, I think I've got 3 actually, this one and 2 more. All of them have been received. So, a lot of times when you go to respond to the case, it's already got your tracking number in there, because if you've bought your labels on eBay, they're going to be there. There's nothing you can do. I just go ahead and open up that screen and then go ahead and submit it. It's there. I think the only time you have to change it is or it won't be there, is if you have used Pirate Ship or something like that. But I don't know, because I don't use Pirate Ship. But they're always there. And then I tend to send the buyer a message in the, there's another 3rd block down that says, send a message. I just basically say that, all USPS packages have GPS tracking. You might want to go to your post office and ask them if they can tell you exactly where it was dropped off. And then I leave it at that.
We had Janai thought she had a missing package one day that was supposed to be delivered, and we checked the scan for it, and it was it was around the corner from our house. And the people at the post office know where we live, because of the packages we do and stuff. And he said, well, that's not your house because you're here. And I'm like, yeah, we're right there. And so they knew, exactly where it was. He said it could be that the carrier was scanning it as they were driving down the road. They knew we were approaching our mailbox, so they just scanned it early so they could just drop it in quickly. Who knows? But it shows exactly where the scan happened.
Yes. But today, a lot of times that's the end of the communication I have. eBay eventually closes them. I don't bother eBay with saying, hey, this is showing delivered, can you close it? It eventually gets closed. But today I had one where she's persisting that I need to give her a refund. She said in her response to my initial message to her was that she's checked with the post office already, and they are not able to give her GPS tracking. That's a little sketchy. And then she said, how do I go about getting a refund? I wanted to say, I don't even remember what I said, but it was a little too blunt. We've talked about that in the past. I can get a little bit snippy in my responses, so I always read them to Robert. And then we just decided to respond with, you're going to need to discuss this with eBay. Sometimes eBay just goes ahead and gives them a refund if they've not, had this issue too many times.
A refund from eBay, not from us.
From eBay, not from me. Because basically, that's what I was wanting to respond is, I did my part. I shipped your item. It's showing delivered. But that's just not.
We do not send out armed guards to protect packages on porches.
Exactly.
Until the owner comes home to pick it up.
No.
We don't have the manpower in our small business here to do that for all the packages we ship. So, and honestly, assume that it was a porch pirate, right? Assume that it got delivered and somebody came and stole it and took it away. We can't be responsible for theft from their property.
No.
That is, it's delivered, it's theirs. They're responsible for making sure it's safe. I wouldn't expect a seller, if FedEx drops it off at the edge of our road out here like they've done before, a couple 100 feet from our house, where somebody could just drive by, scoop it up from the passenger side and go on down the road. Mm-hmm. The seller's not responsible for that. That's a FedEx problem for doing that. Or if it's at my house, then it's a problem with me not living in a safe and secure neighborhood and protecting my packages. We can't be responsible for
that.
But
I think they get used to Amazon Prime, where if you say, well, it used to be that way. We haven't had that happen. But it used to be if you said, it wasn't delivered, they'll just send you another one. But I can't do that. So I basically just ended it at, you'll need to discuss this with eBay. eBay can decide if they want to refund her. My only concern is at this point, am I going to get negative feedback, a neutral feedback? And is eBay going to follow through with their things that are out of our control? removing it because they didn't with my last one. That's what I do. Just make sure, try to keep the emotion out of it, and just go through the process. Keep your messages professional, and, hopefully everything will work out. A lot of times the post office marks stuff delivered and it's not. It'll show up like the next day. And so hopefully that's what's going to happen with this one. And hopefully they'll go back in and close the case. But if not, eBay will close it eventually.
I always follow the advice I got when I was going through the police academy. Be polite, be professional.
No.
Probably not that last part.
No. All right. Next thing that sold, Wild Republic. I buy a lot of it. I probably need to back off a little. It took about 8 months to sell. It is a llama, sold for $11. Yeah. In my new sourcing for next year, I'm probably going to back off on a lot of the wild animal stuff. It takes a while. Now this was a MVP plush elephant from 2019. Bread and butter, $8.96. An old listing. Making them gone. This was a nice sale. It is Walmart duck pillow plush, 30 inches long. And it sold for full price, $49.95. Woolrich women's reversible poncho sold for $14.68. Another really old listing. Glad to see it gone. Cloud Island pink owl lovey sold for $10. Blues Clues red thinking chair with magenta. I think I had the chair. I had 2 chairs listed. I took one out and made this listing, and it sold $8.96. Rabbit plush. This one was very unique colors. I think that's why I picked it up. But the brand was Shanghai Elsie Toys. Sold for full price, $9.95. Build-A-Bear Buddies. I like picking them up, especially when they have clothes on them also. Because sometimes you can separate the plush and the clothes. A lot of times I don't, but you can get more for them. This sold for $13.45. Baby Gund puppy dog spunky plush with sounds sold for $13.45. I think this might maybe be my best sell of that weekend. I knew this was special when I picked it up. I like picking up the Kenner Hug-A-Bunch dolls, especially when they've got their clothes on and they've got their little baby attached. These are by Hallmark. This one was dated 1985. I want to say I picked it up at an estate sale recently. I want to say $7 or $8 was what was on it. Definitely worth picking up. This one sold for $79.95. Disney Heffalump. Now this is the elephant from Winnie the Pooh. I pick up any and all. Some of them are bread and butter. This particular one sold in about 3 months for $50. I just found another one that I think I showed you guys in a haul video. Little bit different. I think I'm going to be listing it for $30 or so. Toy Story Buzz Lightyear figure bins pickup sold for $15.25. This was a nice find. Again, I picked this up the last time we were at the bins. I had to go digging because once I found the van, then I had to find the camper top, and then I just started finding pieces and parts to the play set. It is Tyco Vintage. I did have it listed on Etsy, but it sold on eBay for full price, $49.95. Draper James, which I think is, what's her name, Reese?
Witherspoon?
Yeah, Reese Witherspoon's. I think that was a line of clothing she did. I think somebody told me that at some point. I could be wrong, but it was just a blouse sold for $15.94. Flocked bottle brush trees. They were purple, so of course I was going to pick them up. Lot of 6 sold for $26.95. Mattel Barbie doll from 1993. I think its selling point was that it had its full little outfit, sold for $11.66. Swiggles Pink Elephant Baby Blanket, sold for $11.66. I think Swiggles is like dollar store, Dollar General, Family Dollar, some of those. But I still pick them up. They actually have loveys too that tend to do okay. Another Walmart large pillow plush. This one sold for $22.45. It was a giraffe with the Christmas scarf. It's all Greek to me. Usually those are advertising plush. You know, they buy the plush and they put personalized things on them. This one had a bandana and it sold for $17.95. I'm not sure what pin oak was. This is, I took down a bunch of small lots of Duplos because I had a whole bunch of them that I had purchased in a tote of Legos. I think we picked that up the last time we were at the bins. I pulled out all the animals and figures, made this lot up, and it sold very quickly. These are just kids and animals, and it sold for $35. Yeah, in like the same day. Pokemon Vulpix Sleeping Plush sold for $20. Fisher Price Little People. This is a bottle that went to a particular play set. Sold for $10. Again, these are just small things that I picked up at the bins this last time. I'm trying to force myself to go through the smalls and make, listings from them. This was just a Little Tikes Toddle Tots dinosaur. And the one figure, I wished I'd have found like a caveman figure to go with it, but I didn't. Again, it sold in like 2 weeks for $10.49. At the bins in St. Louis, it's like $2.09 a pound, so I don't have a whole lot in it. This is Kitty Surprise, but they were like Jaguars. These are just the replacement babies, and this lot of 2 sold for $11.66. Bread and butter, y'all. Fairview is a vintage brand of plush. A lot of times what I see are like Christmas themed, bears and animals, and then like stocking stuff like this. This sold for $11.66. Making the lots, y'all. I don't remember if one of these was listed and I added, or did I just find all 3 of them at the same time. But this is Kohl's Cares, Sesame Street, and the 3 of them sold for $23.46. Build-A-Bear, little dress lot, sold for $11.66. I think at some point I need to take my Build-A-Bear and doll clothes down and start making larger lots. I think that's just something I'm considering. All right. McDonald's Happy Meal toys. These were inside out. I bought a bunch at the bins. I think I ended up making like a complete lot, and then I kept having certain ones missing until it was just a hodgepodge of them. They sold really, really well. This one was missing number 6, and it sold for $25. Play School Teletubbies Talking Poe plush. These used to sell for so much, but the price has drastically dropped, unfortunately. This one sold for $17.95. Quickly, though, in less than a month. More of the little people. These were the princesses that they had paint loss, they had marks. The frozen ones just don't sell very well on Whatnot. So I just decided to make one big lot, and they sold in about a week for $24 for the lot of 14. Lego Idea Book with stickers sold for $17.95. Oh, and that's it for my eBay store. Let me show you couple of things that we have sold recently on Robert's, Mercari, and Poshmark. And then he had some decent sales as far as numbers on eBay.
Before you go on, I have an update on your Siberian Tiger. They found it. It was in the wrong locker.
One down. Let's get the other two found. So I have happy customers, and yeah, that's good. I'm glad. I tell you, a lot of times it's just either not delivered or like that, misdelivered. All right, first thing and the only thing that we've sold on Mercari this year for Robert is this Thai Classic Chips the Dog plush, sold for $19.95. And then I think this was sometime in November, but I forgot to share it with you guys. It was another lovey that we've sold on Poshmark, so the loveys do okay on there. And this little dog sold for $20. But this might have been Robert. No, it ain't even Robert's best sale. But y'all, look, this was a Sesame Street Blue Elmo plush by Good Stuff. And it sold on Poshmark for $100. I was shocked. Shocked. And then Robert's clothing store sold these Joe's jeans. That's a really good brand to be looking for. These pants sold for $32. Old Navy women's black jeans sold for $12.50. 7 premium denim jeans sold for $22.21. Old Navy women's sweetheart jeans sold for $13.15. Riders, y'all, Old Navy, Riders, Lee's. These are black denim jeans sold for $14.68. Loft Outlet jogger pants sold for $13. Heiress lingerie slip dress gown sold for $18. I know I picked this up at my favorite little estate sale company this past summer, and I paid, I want to say, $2 each. They've been on my store all of this time. I move it over to his store just this month, and it sells $18.
We sold a couple of those, I think.
I think so, in your store, but they've been in my store for a while. This was his best sell. It was a Jared's black wool and cashmere coat, and it sold, again, right after I cross-listed it from my store. It sold in his store, $109.68. And American Eagle women's boyfriend jeans sold for $17.71. Right? I'm kind of glad things are winding down. I'm ready to go on vacation and a sourcing trip, and hopefully, come back refreshed and ready to start the new year.
Me too.
Yep. All right, y'all. Get to work. Bye.